Your sacral energy center, your lower belly area, it is a literal cauldron for creativity. But what happens when we leave stuff just sitting around in a vessel? It gets dusty, it gets stagnant. Think of like even wax that might melt into some other shape or something that might harden into place over time, kind of become one with the vessel. That is what happens with your creativity when it's just sitting there in your sacral energy center and not coming out. That's the topic of today's episode of Expedition to Soul. We know that you were born magical. We know that you are intuitive, and we know that you are brimming with everyday enchantment. Here at the Sisters Enchanted, we believe in intention, we believe in intuition, and we believe in everyday magic. Welcome in to the Expedition to Soul podcast. I'm Sarah, founder of the Sisters Enchanted, and today is one of our replay episodes. Now, these replays, they're not podcast replays. They're not on the podcast, but what they are pulled from live videos and teachings and sort of 7 years of the Sisters Enchanted vault that we're digging through to bring you some goodness that more of the world needs to hear. And today's is a clip from a teaching I did on your sacral chakra as a cauldron of creativity. Now, this is important, particularly for, I think, people who hold a lot of guilt around carving out time for being creative. Also, people who feel like they're not creative. And what you'll hear in this video or this audio is that creativity comes in all shapes and sizes, and there's not one way to be creative. But we tell ourselves so many stories that really keep us from letting this energy loose and letting this passion, creative energy out is what really creates abundance in our lives. Creativity breeds abundance every single time. Now, before we go ahead and put the clip in here and have you listen to that for today's podcast, I do want to apologize for the audio. It's a little bit grainy. The S's are a little sharp. So please try to get past that and hang out and listen, because it is a good one with lots of food for thought information. Without further ado, listen in. I want you to consider, what is it that's unseen? What is it that you're hearing? The whispers of your inner self, the dreams that you might have, the intuitive senses, all of these things that are happening, whatever it is that you feel is an unseen force, how we can work with all of that to create the things that we want to see in this physical plane, in our lives. So how are we taking what's unseen and creating a physical manifestation of it in our lives? And that is what we are talking about here in part 5 of our seen and unseen experience, as we are looking at the sacral chakra as the cauldron, as a cauldron of creativity, and sort of that cauldron of the seen and unseen. So firstly, what is the sacral chakra? Now, if you don't know anything about the energy centers, I highly recommend that you check out our Holistic Witchery program if you're not already in there to learn more about the energy centers. But the sacral chakra, it is, if you put your hand at your lower belly space, so put your thumb maybe at your belly button, spread your hand wide, and that sacral chakra would probably be, I have really small hands, but somewhere around my ring finger, my pinky. It's down low, and it is the passion center. It's the creativity center. It's like a lusty, zesty sort of center in our energy system. Now, many of us, our sacral chakra is where we hold on to lots of feelings of lack or not feeling confident or less than, and we're really stiff and rigid there, where this is an area that wants to be open, it wants to be flowing, it wants to be birthing things into the world, ideas, concepts, you in your truest form, the things that you're really passionate about. That's all happening in the sacral chakra. And what this has to do with the seen and the unseen is that what we are creating in that cauldron of the sacral chakra, in the unseen aspects of self, so where we aren't following our passions, where we aren't feeling creative, where we're feeling really like tight, restrictive, repressed, where we're feeling those feelings, that turns into the physical manifestations that we see in our everyday life. and where it's tight. We're going to be tight when we want to be loose and we want to be flowy and experiencing and open, right? So this is all what's happening here in that sacral chakra, and this is why we refer to it as the cauldron, because sort of this idea of what goes in is what's going to come out. So what unseen is happening in your sacral chakra? What's going in versus what's going out? Now, when I talk about creativity, I don't mean getting out the paints and the markers. I think when I say creativity, there's often this idea that we're needing to craft something, right? But creativity can look like dance. It can look like cooking, story writing, storytelling, daydreaming, remodeling a project house. It could be hiking and exploring and wild foraging. Creativity comes in a vast array of forms, right? It's not just crafting in the way that we would think of crafting, right? Creativity it's wide. It's anything you want it to be, and it's whatever you're passionate about that you can create into being based on something you're experiencing within you. And here in our sacral chakra, when we're limiting that creative experience, we are creating physical manifestations in our life that mirror that experience, right? So if we don't feel like we have something that we can be truly passionate about, truly excited about, that how we're feeling on the inside isn't reflecting into our life on the outside, that's good. We're going to see all of that happening in that sacral chakra. So the seen and the unseen, as we've talked about before, it covers a lot of area. It's our connection to our higher selves, all that is. It's our intuition, our subconscious, our unconscious, the collective consciousness, all of these things. And here, what is unseen is sort of the creative prowess, or it's our inner selves that's right there under the surface that wants to be seen. And our ability to understand that that's lurking within us, our ability to understand where we might be feeling stagnant here on this physical plane and unearth it from the sacral chakra so that we can have better lives we want to live, lives that feel very, very magical. Right, so this is your cauldron. What is going in there? What's going in and what's coming out? What are you putting out into the world? And how are you taking your unseen desires and creating a seen, a visible life that reflects those unseen desires? That is what I want you to question and I want you to ask yourself. Now, we have some tips for you here around working with the sacral chakra. And really, it's about passion. It's about desire. It's about fire, that creativity energy. So dancing, laughing, writing, hip opening exercises, belly dance, yoga, all of that is really great to start just loosening up, getting your energy flowing. I love music and just bopping around to help get my creative centers open and flowing. The colors associated with the sacral chakra are typically orange, but like yellows, reds, oranges, ambers, any of those colors are amazing to work with. So surrounding yourself by those kind of sunshiny fire sorts of colors to help ignite that sense of passion, that sense of creativity and confidence. That is all great with the sacral chakra. It's a fiery, like heat-centered place. So whatever makes you feel on fire and like passion bursting from you, that's what we want to do to energize your creative center, your cauldron of the seen and unseen. And really ask yourself if you're feeling like what you're seeing physically in the world around you isn't what you want for yourself, or isn't in alignment with how you want to feel or be, or how you've always, envisioned your future to be. What is it that is stuck? What is it that is sitting in that cauldron waiting to come out? What is stuck in there? What unseen forces are just hanging out in there, festering around instead of busting forward into whatever you want them to be? And working with these colors, working with the suit of cups in the tarot. I know we talked about that in a previous unit. That's a great suit. The wands, cups and wands together. Those are, you've got that fire and sort of that emotion that you can feel there in the sacral chakra. Putting those together, exploring those a little bit. Lighting a fire, getting outside with fire. Candles, again, reds, oranges, yellows. Eating foods that are reds, oranges, yellows. All of this work, and really considering, again, what is seen and unseen here. So what's seen in your life, what's unseen within, and how can we shake that up, stir that cauldron about, because that's your cauldron if you think about it. When you think of a cauldron, we think of what we're putting in, and then it transforms in the cauldron to come out something new, something different. We're alchemizing something, right? Changing it from one form to another. And what is going into your sacral chakra that we want to birth out in a different form? And that's what creativity is ultimately. It's taking one thing or an idea and creating it, birthing it into the world. So for me, I find tons of creativity here in the Sisters Enchanted and everything that I create. It's a huge creative outlet for me. Also hiking. I love to wild forage and see what plants I can find when I'm out on the trail, and then investigate them and learn how to eat them, whether they're safe or not, right? If I should be eating them. That is a source of creativity for me. And when I do those activities and I do my work here at the Sisters Enchanted, or I'm out on a hike, I feel at my most alive. So what I'm taking is these unseen desires and creating a life that is in alignment with those feelings and making them seen. So this is another way to work with the seen and the unseen. When we think of those two concepts, I think we often, I know that I think like spirit or guides or, something more out that's not within me. And here I really want you to consider the seen and the unseen about yourself. What is in the physical world around you? What is the physical manifestation? And then what is unseen within you? And how are we birthing it out to be seen? How are we putting energy into that cauldron space and making it into something tangible here in the world that you are passionate about? How are we driving that creativity? And creativity ultimately drives connection with your intuition as well. So as we're on the seen and unseen exploration, and we are obviously looking to enhance our intuition along the way, our own connectedness, creativity breeds intuition. You learn to trust yourself through creativity, through being a creative person, through those creative processes. You really learn to trust yourself. And doing this work with the seen and the unseen in the sacral chakra, your own little cauldron, that is going to help you in that endeavor as well. So I really want you to consider your sacral chakra, your passion center, your desire center, your creativity center, and ask yourself, what is going on there? When was the last time I felt really, really passionate about something? When did I desire to do something and I did it and I made it happen? When was I creative? When did I just let loose and not worry about what other people thought about me, what the result was going to be, and just did something for the sake of doing it because you wanted to? That's what's happening there. We want to take those unseen desires and make them seen. Bring a physical manifestation of them into the world around you. Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast episode. I want to know, what does creativity look like for you? When you see a post about this episode over on Facebook or Instagram, be sure to go to the comments and let us know what creativity is for you, because you will inspire somebody else who thinks they are just not creative to find what their inner creative thing is, what their spark is, what their passion is. And more of that out there in the world makes it shares happiness, it shares joy and abundance for all of us. So inspire other people with what your creative thing is, what you're going to release out of your sacral energy center, your cauldron of creativity. All right. If you want some help with any of this or want to dive deeper into these topics, remember you can always join us in Holistic Witchery. That is our unique program centered on our 5-eye expansion spiral, which is a proven methodology for bringing more joy, relaxation, and abundance into your life, where you win back your time. You create more time for yourself so that you can do things that make you happy. You learn to release that guilt, and it's perfect for women who feel pretty disenchanted with life and like they've tried everything and nothing works. This proven methodology is very easy, and that's what makes it effective. So check that out at holisticwitchery.com. All right, y'all, until next time, thank you for being here, and I hope that you have an enchanted rest of your day ahead. If you liked this episode of the Expedition to Soul podcast, please rate, review, subscribe. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, it will really help us spread everyday magic, intention, and intuition to the masses and helps us so much as a small business. Be sure to hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. There are new episodes every Tuesday and astro forecasts for the week ahead every Friday. If there's any topics you'd want to hear, anything you want us to dive deeper into, shoot us an email at magic@thesistersenchanted.com. And as always, thank you so much for listening and being part of the community here at the Sisters Enchanted. And we'll see you in the next episode.